Hi guys, so last month I travelled to Oldham, a town in Greater Manchester, one of the most deprived towns in England, to get the thoughts of people there on the idea of UK adults receiving £822 a month from the government as a right of citizenship, the equivalent at the time of $1,000 a month, which is what US presidential candidate Andrew Yang is currently proposing to provide all US citizens above the age of 18. I hope you find the interviews interesting. Also guys, if you do enjoy this video, do subscribe to the channel as there will be many more like it in the future. What do you do for a living?
I'm a security consultant.
So what would you do with an extra £822 a month from the government?
I would probably use it to go and watch Lancashire cricket, go and watch Everton Football Club, get me season ticket. That's what I'd do with an extra £807 a month. Probably save a lot of it, to be honest with you. That would be the most sensible thing.
I'm a student right now and I'm working on NCS with these boys. Flying, aren't we?
Handing flyers out. What do you think you would do with an additional £822 a month from the government?
I'd do many things. I think first of all I'd pay off things I have to pay, like debts, then try and save some, obviously use some for nice things, but yeah, free money, gotta use it wisely.
Is that how you look at it, free money?
Well, if it's from the government, yeah. It kind of is everyone getting free money, isn't it?
Let's say every full-time British worker were to receive this monthly £822 payment from the age of 18. Do you think it's more likely that they would become lazier or more productive as a result?
A bit of both, I think. Depends what background they'd come from.
Could you expand on that a little bit?
Perhaps the younger generation might be a bit lazier because it's there. They'll just don't have to work for it. Perhaps the working class would use it wisely.
Why do you think the working class would use it wisely in particular?
I think they'd appreciate it more. They'd appreciate it more to help pay bills and carry on working.
Do you think most women and men from Oldham would use that money as wisely as you if they were to get it too?
Nah, probably not. Probably not in Oldham, no. Probably spend it, you know how people are around here, so nah. Probably.
I don't know how they are. How are they?
Oh, you're not from here, are you? No. All right. So most people in Oldham, I don't think they're. There's a few obviously with certain, but in Oldham it's not really. People are very lazy and they just want to mess about, especially where I live. The communities there. They're not thinking, short. They're not thinking long term. They're thinking short term. So I don't think that £800 would last them very long. They'd buy like a stupid bag or like coat or something, expensive designer stuff. So, nah, don't think so. Unless you give it to like the older people, or like people who actually know, who have been brought up in a certain way to know what they're doing. Other than that, nah, they wouldn't spend it.
So do you think younger people are more likely to squander it?
100%. Nights out, whatever, drinks, that designer clothes, show stupid things, show off, flash things. So, nah, not in Oldham, no.
I think like most places, there's a lot of derogatory things said about Oldham and about a lot of northern towns, and we sometimes lump everybody in together. I've lived in Oldham most of my life, and the people in Oldham, as far as I'm concerned, are industrious and they're hard-working, whatever community or background they come from, and I think most of them are sensible. And I think most of them would be sensible with an extra £800 and odd a month. Certainly they would. They'd generally probably spend it on their families or save up or maybe have good holidays with it. That's what I think they would probably do.
I am a secondary school teacher, teach English and I teach in an alternative provision.
What do you think you would do with an additional £822 a month from the government?
I'd like to think that I'd be really sensible and probably put it in a high interest ISA, or at least some of it. But I think it would alleviate some of my debt as well and sort of enable me to maybe get out of debt a bit quicker and possibly improve my quality of life, because I do struggle with getting to the end of the month with some money in the bank. So I think I would probably split it between saving and being sensible and thinking long term, but also thinking currently of trying to improve how I'm living.
I'm a freelancer, so I work in the creative industry.
And What would you do with an additional £822 a month from the government?
I think with an additional £822, I'd have to save that money, just because being a freelancer, it's quite a struggle to find stable work. So I'd save that money towards something and probably help others that need it.
Help how?
Probably help towards charities and funding, so realising where the money goes from my own money and then taking that within different groups.
What do you do for a living?
I am a mortgage advisor.
So what do you think you would do with an additional £822 a month from the government?
I don't really know. I think what I would do is I think I'd sort my own issues out first. If that started to come in, I'd start my own finances out, then put it towards possibly going for a mortgage myself and invest it. That's probably what I would do.
What do you think you'd invest it in, if you don't mind me asking?
I'd probably do property. Property. That's where I go forward with property and then build it from there, get on the ladder.
If every full-time British worker from the age of 18 were to receive this £822 a month payment, do you think it's more likely that they would, on the whole, become lazier or more productive as a result?
I'd like to say more productive, but I think if you look at how society is becoming these days, it could become more lazy, because if you're getting £800, why go and get a minimum paid job to get a similar amount of money? You might get that kind of attitude.
You said with the way society's going these days, could you just expand on that a little?
Well, society seems to be going like people want to be given stuff and not always working, and with like opportunities being harder, education being more expensive to get into, you kind of getting the attitude of some people that if you can get given money, why not get given it? Because it's a lot of graft for not that much sometimes. Or if you want to, improve yourself with education, it's out of means for people like me on minimum wage. You're not going to be able to afford to do it. So if somebody give you an extra £800, you're more likely to improve your lifestyle, if that makes sense. I mean, some people might use it usefully, but other people might just improve their lifestyle and maybe, you just up how you live, and if that makes sense, yeah.
I think if it was a system that was introduced in a positive and fair way, I don't see why it would make people lazier. I think people want to contribute to society. I'm lucky, I enjoy my job, I wouldn't give up my job. And I think it would just make a fairer society if people just knew that they had a basic income to live on that meant that they wouldn't struggle on a monthly basis to pay bills and do the things that they need to do, buy enough healthy food to live on for their children, for example. I think that would be a really good thing. I mean, I've heard that the Labour Party are interested in introducing trials of such a system, and I think I would support that. Try it out, see how it works, be positive about it.
I'm an IT analyst.
And so what do you think you would do with an additional £822 a month from the government?
Well, if everyone at work put together to do it as a collective, would build a safe house for children to stay in. Children have been abused and hurt and have run away from home, so they've got somewhere to live, somewhere to eat for free and everything, so they'll be safe, yeah.
And why are you inspired to do that in particular?
I mean, lots of children go through a lot of things, like in life and whatever, and when they get older, that's when you hear them talk about their stories and what they've been through. So I think somewhere where someone can feel safe and secure and know that people can find them, then that's easier than, being on the street and whatever.
And this may be an obvious question, but what's preventing you from doing that at the moment with the money you have?
Well, life, basically. You got your mortgage, you got your bills, everything tots up, and you just can't spare that amount of money at this moment in time.
Do you think most men and women from Oldham in your situation would use that money as wisely as you would?
No, I think it's easier said than done, definitely. I can say this now, but when the money comes through, you don't know what can happen. I think with a lot of the people who live in Oldham, it's a really deprived area. In 2016 it was named one of the worst towns to live in the UK. So I'm not too sure where the money would go, but I don't think everyone would do, let's say, positive actions with the money. It might go towards other things, or yeah.
What do you think people might use it on?
I'm not too sure. They might I'm not too sure. It might be with probably not saving, probably just spending it carelessly, just in the moment. Yeah.
If every UK adult were to receive this £822 monthly payment, do you think it would be fairer to disabled people to let them have that money in exchange for the disability benefit payments they're already entitled to, or in addition to them?
No, if everyone's getting it, then it should be added on to what they have. So obviously, whatever everyone's receiving, the £180, whatever you say, whoever's already getting disability allowance should get whatever on top. So it's fair. It depends what you mean by disability. If they're like disabled, then maybe not. But if they actually are, then yeah.
In most cases, people work to live. They don't live to work. And so obviously a salary or your wages are always a very important factor when you're looking for work in the job that you do. And I don't think that aspiration would change because people are getting an extra £200 a week. We live to our means. So if we're getting an extra £800 off the government, that would be great. And if you're in full-time work anyway, it would be a great boost. I don't think that would make people lazy. People already want to aspire to greater things. They want to get a better salary, a better living wage. They want to get better housing, better cars, better things for their children. So no, it won't make people lazy. It'll just be a nice little bonus, I would suspect. I have to say though, it's not something that I would personally back myself. Although the argument could always be, well, if 30 million people in the UK are in full-time work, are receiving this money, that money would then, through spending, would go back into the economy. That's a bit of a false premise as far as I can see, because it goes back into the economy, but in which way? I mean, if you go and spend it at Odeon Cinema, for instance, well, the Odeon Cinema Group is owned by a foreign corporation, and so ultimately those profits are going abroad, so that money doesn't come back into the UK. I'm sure a fair percentage of it would, but not all of it does. The best way to spend that sort of money would be to improve education and improve job opportunities and training for young people, and something that the French and the Scottish have done for a very long time, and that is vocational training at school. So what we should be doing at the age of 11, we should be deciding what sort of children are going to go on to academic greatness, and those children that are going to go on to a vocational greatness. And we should look at that at that early age, and we should concentrate, bring back apprenticeships, and invest the money in those sorts of things. That's how every adult in the UK and every child in the UK would benefit more, rather than spending £820 arbitrarily. That's my personal opinion. Not to say that if it came in, well, great, I'd take the £820 and I'd go and watch Lancashire and I'd go and watch Everton, but there you go.